Hello and welcome to this edition of Consider This. I'm your host, Charles Lake, and today I'm going to give you my opinion on why RFK Jr. is totally wrong on vaccinations, and he puts out garbage studies. And here at Consider This, we let you read the studies for yourself and make your own opinion. But after you read this, I believe you'll have the same opinion I do, is that RFK Jr. should not be in the office he's holding right now. Okay, so let's go over to the research. And I finally used AI, and it came out halfway decent. This is Google AI, by the way, and there are many chemicals that we make plastic out of. I'm only going to talk about two of them today. One is BPA, or Bisphenol A, and the other is styrene. And I asked AI if BPA caused autism. And I suggest you read this for yourself, because I have dyslexia, and as you can tell, I have problems following some words. So while you read, I'm going to discuss a few things. BPA is used everywhere. I mean, it's in the cash register receipts that you get. It's not ink that gets printed out on most of them. It's a chemical reaction, and they use BPA to do it. So if you hand your kids the cash register receipts, you might as well give them a bottle with BPA in it. And it's used to line our cans for our canned foods, so that the food don't touch the can. And because it's used that way, it gets into our canned foods. And both BPA and styrene really do a lot of damage to the central nervous system and brain development, and let me scroll down here, and other things. And they both mutate human DNA. So this is something that we need to talk about here regarding DNA and autism. And and autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder. So they knew these things bothered our neural system, but they didn't know until, I don't think they wanted to know until recently, but the last 10 years or so. So, and like I say, all you have to do is put in BPA, BPA and mutations of DNA leading to autism. That's what I put in for this. And so that's what I put into Google IA, and this is what I came back with. So BPA may cause changes to genes, and so we've known for a long time, probably 35 years, that there are mutations in our chromosomes and things from BPA and styrene. So it's not like it's something that just came up. And so, and now we'll go over to the styrene based on the results here. They say there's no convincing evidence on styrene exposure, but styrene's everywhere too. They use it in glues, they use it in paint, they use it to make polystyrene food containers, which is the styrofoam food containers, which leaches the styrene into your food, also leaches benzene into your food. Which we're not talking about benzene today, we're talking about BPA and styrene. So there are a lot of, but it directly causes DNA mutations. They notice. So, and as you read more, it's used in carpeting. It's used back, about 10 years ago, I did a thing when I was living over in New York, and I told people how if you have a child that dies of SIDS, there is a possibility, it's not a fact, but it's a possibility, because styrene's in everything and it attacks the central nervous system, and you have a newborn baby coming into a brand new environment, being the baby's room, and it's all painted new, it's got new carpeting on the floor, and it's got all these new pressboard dressers and pressboard whatever in a hard crib, because they haven't figured out how to make pressboard cribs yet, and if they do, they don't hold together very long. That it's a possibility that there's so much styrene in the air that the baby ends up being over and its body just shuts down. It's not saying that happens all the time. It's just saying there is a possibility. I am not a doctor. I'm a professional patient since I was poisoned in 1992 by polystyrene food containers. And now we used to haul them in asbestos trailers, so now I have asbestosis. So, and that's where we are with that. But so if you put in styrene and mutations of DNA leading to autism, this is what you'll come up with in Google AI. So if you want to get this on your own, you can. Now, we have some studies here. This is from 2015, and this is about BPA. And exposure on human brain and behavior is a relatively new issue, particularly concerns raised about the potential impact on children. And this is in 2015, and they're just starting to get into it with the BPA. And so relationship between exposure and neurobehavior outcomes. So I only read the abstract and the conclusion on the behavior, because like I said, I'm not a doctor. So, neither is RFK Jr. And then I go down and I look for the conclusion, and I read the conclusion. In summary, on the brain have been and so they know its cerebral effects has been demonstrated. So they know it's affecting our brains. And we're going to get into a little more of this later. But this is 2015. And you can download these off my Patreon show, but they won't be on YouTube. And then you have the 2023 related factors in sex. So what they're saying here is that has been linked to autism spectrum, mostly in boys. So, and the conclusions that they find, so they know that BPA just destroys our brains, basically. It makes us a little dumber. Okay, now we go to styrene, and so they know it mutancy affects different parts of the genes and chromosomes. So this is another one where how both DNA adducts and DNA single strand breaks. So it takes when the DNA, we'll get into this a little bit later. I have another page that shows a little bit better how it mutates. And then so that was but you know, this is something to really think about, because anything that burns also creates styrene, benzene, and formaldehyde. So your car exhaust, your diesel exhaust, your home heating oil, and that's why we're trying to get away from the oil companies, because it makes not only breaks down our atmosphere, but it creates global warming, but it also breaks down your health. So if we stay with the oil, like the idiot in the White House says, Mr. Trump, I don't call him president, I've met him several times, and I call him a pompous ass. So I have met him in the 70s and early 80s, and he will never remember me. I was just a truck driver delivering food to his favorite restaurant. So and the spectrum of styrene and DNA adaptations. Now these are all on I also would like to show you a little bit here. My website, which everybody can get to, and it'll be on the explanation of this show. And if you like, my Patreon is like, it's $5 a month, and you can join for a month and quit. But you know, try to get as much information as you can. I have shows about Social Security where I want to bump the Social Security, what we pay for Social Security, from $178,000 to $1 million. So that'll also help, because it won't cost the workers anything, it'll cost the CEOs more. If we come down here, you scroll down, you hit child data, and I have much more here, and traffic related pollution and everything, but in 2018, and I have it up already, the Academy of Pediatrics, some food additives, which they were putting styrene into our food. And if you go down here, Dr. Jennifer Lowell, she points out that nearly 400 additives found that 64% of them had no research showing that they were safe. And that was with the styrene, which was one of 8 chemicals banned in the last few years because it's toxic. And also points out that avoid plastics with the coating of 6 with styrene or polystyrene, because it leaches styrene into your food. And there are many more things on, about diabetes and things. If we go up to so including the styrene lobby on how they try to pad the bills that run through Congress. So here's where we were. Now this here is pretty good. The Cleveland Clinic, generic in humans, and it gives you a whole, but it also gives you some intellect on like some things are deleted, some things just don't match when our DNA tries to replicate, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so things don't come out the same. And if we go down, and we gotta go down quite a ways, and it gives you when generic mutations happen, and it tells you which one and how it, this one here is in the womb, this one's when your cells split. How do you generic mutations happen? And it gives you a quick brief thing on that. But where we want to go, how do generic mutations affect other organs? And this will be on Patreon, but it's not on my site, because I just found it recently. And how do generic lead to generic variations? Where in the body? Where are the different types of genetic mutations? And it gives you a couple of them. And then, can I inherit? And yes, you can inherit. So styrene's been around for a long time, so is BPA. So all of the generic mutations that's happened to our parents are, not all of them, but there are some of them being passed down to younger generation, and as they get older they pass it to a younger generation, and it keeps going and going and going. So can I inherit? And then it gives you a few different cases there, and there's some more conditions and disorders. Okay, this is where I wanted to go, because mutation of mutable gene inheritance, one or more chromosomes, environmental factors, which everybody's in an environmental petri dish, just living on the earth nowadays, with all the fumes from the different automobiles and the different chemicals that are getting spread around, the pesticides, and so we live in a petri dish, and you never know what's going to happen. And what are the common general disorders? Okay, Alzheimer's disease, some cancers, cystic fibrosis, Down syndrome, and sickle cell disease are 4 conditions that they found are common generic conditions. And is there a check for these? And they tell you to talk to your healthcare provider and care and so forth. They tell you non-smoking, wearing sunscreen, avoiding chemical exposures, carcinogens, which they have them in our food. Styrene's one. It's a suspected carcinogen. BPA, another. Eating a nutritious, balanced diet, which if you eat prepared foods that are in a bag in the store, they might be a balanced diet, but they might not be nutritious because they have a lot of processing. Yeah, avoid processed foods. And then they have a note from the clinic. So, and I found this years ago, and this is on my website. It's under children. It says mutations. And this one you can get off my website. And it basically tells you how, basically the same thing, except for this was done in 2013. The other was done in 2015 or 18. I can't remember. So, and it tells you chemical mutations, which mimic and so these here are really good. And like I say, this one comes off my website. And so they knew chromosome changes were consistent with the plastic or styrene in the plastic boat factory. And they did the samples from 73 to 78, and this was put out in 1980. They knew that there was no significant difference in the values of the chromosome between the highly exposed and the less exposed groups. So you don't need a lot of styrene in your body to make it change your chromosomes, but less exposed groups was an increase in the frequency of chromosome with increase in exposure to styrene. So, and we're exposed every day. You can't get away from it. You're breathing air which has auto exhaust or diesel exhaust or home heating exhaust. If you use the whiteout, that is a lot of styrene in that, and you breathe that in. Printers, not the inkjet, but the other printers, you get exposed to a little bit of styrene out of them. And like I say, it's everywhere. Anything that burns creates it. So it's not actually a natural chemical. It's a chemical that's made from chemical reaction, and that's controversial. I have a lot of things on my website where it's just real controversial. Back in the 80s and 90s, it was hard to find, and then they found it's made naturally from decomp. You get trees and stuff in the forest that fall, and that's part of the decomp. But the styrene in your food is made from, let me see if I can find it on the website. No. There's a lot of really good information here. The other thing is, VOCs, organic compounds, have a lot of styrene in it. Styrene is a cleaning compound. They use it as a cleaning compound on a lot of things. So when you walk into the schools and you smell that heavy smell coming where they do the floors, that is styrene, partially. And so the website has a lot of really good information on there. I can't remember right now. It's been a while since I've done the food things here. This here was the petition to eliminate styrene and several other chemicals. Styrene from the food flavor list, which happened just a couple years ago, and RFK is talking about bringing it back. The CDC they say that it's our fault that we're not eating good quality foods, yet the FDA puts all these processed foods out. Let's them put all these foods out. Let's see. No. Here it is right here. Styrene's a building block, da 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 da. Oh, wrong one. So, but this is where we're at. I thank you for listening. That's about all we have for you today. Stay safe. Try to help each other, and let's not be so let's just keep each other safe, and I thank you for listening, and have a good day.